I would say that I'd had a sheltered childhood. My parents were first-generation immigrants and were generally fearful of others. They warned me about how people could be cruel or misleading because they may see me as a second-class citizen. I've never asked them about their own experiences, but I assume things must have been tough for them when they first came to this country. Ever since I was a kid, I've only experienced overt racism a handful of times, and it never went beyond an insult. That is to say, the vast majority of interactions I've had with people have been completely benign. I understand that my parents were doing their best to try and protect me, but regardless, that fear was passed on to me. As I grew older, I didn't like the way they saw the world, and our relationship was becoming more strained. I haven't seen them for over 10 years, but this isn't my story of loss. Deep into my 20s, I had trouble trusting people and kept everyone at an arm's length. I would be careful not to give away any information, like where I live or what I did in my spare time, and I would try to steer any conversations back towards them. That tactic worked for maybe weeks to months, depending on the size of the other person's ego. One day, I was speaking to a girl I had worked with for about a year. Once again, I tried to deflect, but she stuck to her line of questioning and even confronted me about how I never talk about myself. I was flummoxed. She wasn't being mean or forceful. I sensed no malice or manipulation. She was just asking. So I answered. I find it hard to trust people, and not much happens in my life, so I don't bother talking about it. She raised her eyebrows and tilted her head. So, I take it you're not doing anything for tomorrow after work? How about we go to the cafe down the street? I shifted from flummoxed to flabbergasted. No one's ever asked me out before. What's her game? I'm not good looking or rich, my personality is heavily guarded, and I don't have any special influence at work. What could she want? Of course, outside of my head, this translated to a 3-second pause with a blank expression. She broke the silence. Okay, how about this? We'll meet here at 5:15, walk to the cafe, and talk over a piece of cake and a game of Scrabble. Either of us can call it off at any time, and we can pretend it never happened. Or we'll stay for 1 hour and decide if we want to do it again sometime. I didn't know much, but I knew I liked cake and Scrabble. At the cafe, I did tell a couple of anecdotes about when I was a kid, but not much else, so she did most of the talking, especially about her dream job working in rainforest conservation. We both enjoyed ourselves and agreed to do it again. Each time I did speak a little bit more about myself, but I still had a nagging doubt about what her angle was. About 5 dates in, I asked her, "So, why did you ask me out?" "Well, it did seem like nobody knew much about you." She smiled. "But I like the sound of your voice, and I wanted to see what the rest of you was like." I thought about her words every day until our next date. In the shower, going to work, before sleep, after waking up. Something changed after those words. I felt more present. She noticed the change too, and it looked like this was becoming a real relationship. At first it was a whirlwind, going to the cinema, restaurants, days out, learning to dance. Soon after we became more content, inviting each other to our flats, cooking together, holding each other while watching TV. I wasn't reading it in a book or seeing it on film. This was now. This was happening. I look back at that time as the best year of my life. I was making us breakfast one morning. Savory pancakes with a spicy potato and onion filling, and coffee on the side. She came into the kitchen with a letter. After months of waiting, her application got accepted, and she got an offer to work in South America. We were delighted. It was her dream. But I had no idea what this meant for us. She'd be working in a remote area, so it would be unlikely that I could go with her. And if we wanted to try long distance, we would only be able to see each other, at best, twice a year. Soon after, we realized that we would only be together for the next 10 days. For the next week, most of our time together was practical, making sure everything was in order and that nothing was forgotten when packing. At times it was really nice, digging through old piles of stuff and remembering the time I tried to teach her how to solve a Rubik's Cube. We got to the first 2 layers before she got bored. Sometimes it was hard, splitting up the set of dinnerware we bought together before she insisted I should keep it whole. They'd provide plates there and it would only take up space in her luggage. I always knew it could happen, but it was so sudden. I wanted her to stay with all my heart, but if I'd said that, she still would have gone. She had been waiting for this for so long. 2 nights before the flight, we had a few friends at my place as a farewell party, and there was enough going on to distract me. The next night, we had a final meal together. At the end, I brought out 2 pieces of cake and lit some candles. I wanted to say goodbye at the airport, but she didn't want me to drive back feeling sad. She wanted her last memory of us to be in the place where we first said we loved each other. It was time. At 9 o'clock we stood up, said goodbye and embraced. I held her tight to stop my body from shaking. We let go. She smiled, and left as I wiped away the tears, unseen in the candlelight.